If you want proof that respect in MotoGP is earned the hard way, listen to a rival when his own season is falling apart. That's exactly where this story begins. Not with a victory celebration, but with Brad Binder standing in the shadow of a rider he openly describes as something close to untouchable. Because while others measure performance in trophies, Binder measures it in moments. Those split seconds when Marc Márquez simply does what no one else on the grid can. Even in a turbulent year for himself, the South African found his eyes drawn back to one man again and again, as if watching a master craftsman at work. And in a paddock built on ego, risk and raw speed, praise like this doesn't come cheaply. When a hardened MotoGP racer calls another rider a masterpiece, you stop, you listen. Because you know it's coming from experience, not hype. Brad Binder's recent reflections on Marc Márquez paint the picture of a competitor who has gone beyond rivalry and into genuine admiration. In a championship defined by knife-edge margins, Binder believes Márquez operates with something extra in reserve. A hidden layer of performance that only appears when the pressure peaks. Marc always has a bit in hand, Binder explained, summing up the Spaniard's racecraft in one sharp sentence. It's not just about raw pace, it's about timing, judgement, and that almost eerie ability to respond instantly when a race situation turns critical. According to Binder, Márquez doesn't merely react, he anticipates. That observation carries extra weight considering Binder's own difficult campaign, finishing down the order overall and enduring the bitter frustration of missing out on a podium for the first time in his MotoGP journey. He watched Márquez's season unfold from a very different emotional place. Yet rather than bitterness, what emerged was respect. From Binder's perspective, analysing Márquez's run of victories reveals a pattern. When the moment demands risk, he finds grip. When tyres fade, he finds control. When rivals attack, he finds another line, another braking marker, another fraction of lean angle. Binder describes it as a few extra percent. But in MotoGP, a few percent might as well be a different category. Even the setbacks underline the point. Mistakes at start, tricky weather, difficult circuits. Situations that shuffle the field for most riders seem only to delay Márquez rather than derail him. Binder noted that even on weekends where things didn't run perfectly, the damage was minimal and the response immediate. That consistency under chaos is what separates champions from legends. The broader championship picture only reinforces Binder's view. Multiple riders tasted victory across the season, proving how competitive the grid has become. Yet none could replicate sustained dominance over a long stretch. Binder believes that's where Márquez's true brilliance lies. Not in one spectacular ride, but in stacking elite performances week after week. There's also a psychological dimension. Riders talk often about presence, the effect a dominant figure has simply by lining up on the grid. Binder's comments suggest Márquez carries that aura. Rivals don't just race him, they measure themselves against him. Every overtake on Márquez feels like a statement. Every defense against him feels like survival. For Binder, the contrast between his own up-and-down year and Márquez's control of race situations highlights MotoGP's brutal unpredictability. Different circuits, changing grip levels, shifting tyre behaviour. The sport offers no guarantees, yet Márquez appears to bend that uncertainty more than most, turning variables into opportunities. Looking ahead, Binder's focus now shifts to the future with KTM alongside Pedro Acosta and the expanded lineup around him. New machinery, fresh development directions and renewed ambition offer a reset. But the benchmark, in Binder's own words, is clear. To fight at the very front consistently means reaching the level of adaptability and race intelligence he sees in Márquez. Binder's remarks reveal more than admiration. They expose the blueprint of elite MotoGP performance. Speed opens the door, but race management wins championships. Marquez's perceived advantage, as Binder describes it, is not constant dominance but controlled escalation, knowing exactly when to push beyond the limit and when to sit just beneath it. This is the hallmark of riders who define eras. They stretch tires without destroying them. They absorb early race chaos without panic. They treat late race pressure not as a threat, but as a trigger. Binder's few extra percent may sound small, but at 350 kilometers per h, it's the difference between a bold overtake and a lost opportunity. There's also a motivational layer. For younger or rebuilding riders, witnessing that standard can either intimidate or inspire. Binder's tone suggests the latter. Acknowledging greatness is the first step toward chasing it. And perhaps, eventually, challenging it. One thing is certain. If competitors like Binder are still dissecting Marquez's performances this closely, the Spaniard's influence on the sport is far from fading. His legacy isn't just written in titles or victories, but in the way fellow professionals describe him. Not merely as fast, but as something closer to inevitable. Beyond the numbers and the race wins, what stands out in Binder's assessment is the technical sharpness behind Marquez's riding. He isn't simply aggressive, he is precise. Every movement on the bike appears calculated. From how he loads the front tyre on corner entry, to how early he picks the machine up on exit to protect rear grip. Binder's admiration hints at a rider who understands not just speed, but the mechanics of speed. That mechanical sympathy becomes even more critical in modern Motogp, where aerodynamics, ride height devices, and tyre management have transformed the sport into a chess match at 200 miles per hour. Binder suggests Marquez has mastered this evolving landscape faster than most, adapting his natural instincts to suit the technological era rather than fighting against it. That blend of old-school bravery and modern intelligence is rare. There is also the matter of recovery, not just from mistakes in races, but from adversity across seasons. Binder's comments indirectly acknowledge Marquez's resilience. Few riders return from setbacks, physical or competitive, and still command the same respect on track. Yet the Spaniard's ability to re-establish himself as a reference point speaks to mental strength as much as physical talent. In the garage, such influence carries weight. When a rider consistently extracts performance, engineers listen differently. Development directions sharpen, feedback gains authority. Binder's reflections suggest Marquez is not only a race day force, but a development asset. Someone capable of steering a project forward through feel and experience.